Hey. Not much, just waiting on Steve. Oh, Steve's here. Hey. Perfect, if you guys are ready, we'll just dive right in. Not much, just waiting on Steve. Oh, Steve's here. Hey. Alright, perfect. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the SEO UnMasked podcast. It's August 17th, 2017, and we have a great show lined up for you guys. Alright, hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the SEO UnMasked podcast. It's August 17th, 2017. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th, 2017. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody, welcome to episode freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting about this ourselves. It's August 17th. Alright, well, a few things. Alright, hey everybody. So freelance writers being SEO UnMasked. We've been chatting. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but alright, well, Mark over a few things. Alright, hey everybody. Client takeover. I haven't exactly exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly had a lot of time to look into it, but
all right. Well, Mark, anything
all right,
else?
hey everybody, welcome to Line Takeover. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He has a pretty good design angle. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He has a pretty good design angle. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He has a pretty good design angle. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He has a pretty good design angle. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He has a pretty good design angle. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He has a pretty good design angle. I haven't exactly unlocked. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. I think he has a pretty good. Yeah, to me it makes more sense to start with a big city. I haven't exactly unlocked. Even if your site is starting with I think obviously he has a pretty good. Yeah, to me it makes more sense to start with a big city. The big cities at that point are just exactly even if your site is starting with I think obviously he has a pretty good. Yeah, to me it makes more sense to start with a big city. The big cities at that point are just exactly even if your site is starting with I think obviously he has a pretty good. Yeah, to me it makes more sense to start with a big city. The big cities at that point are just exactly even if your site is starting with I think obviously he has a pretty good. Yeah, to me it makes more sense to start with a big city. Big cities at that point are just exactly even if your site is starting with I think obviously he has a pretty good. Yeah, to me it makes more sense to start with big cities. Even if your site is starting even if your site is
haven't gone through it yet. Looks pretty cool though.
It is pretty good. I mean, it's what I really got with it was it you know the stuff, but you have to remember it every time you start a new project. Like, oh, I should do this now. I should do.
Yeah.
If you can just kind of sit down with your colleagues or business partner or whatever and just kind of throw a few cards out. Be like, right, these 5, which one are we going to do? And then you pick one and get on with it. It takes that awful like decision making out of stuff, and you just get on with things.
Right.
It's a good idea. It's like a massive to-do list for people that can't decide what to do. It's a
yeah, that's why I want it, because I have OCD, right? So if if I get through my to-do list for the day and I have like 3 o'clock and I still have like 4 hours of work, I need some suggestions, man. So it's right here on my desk, and that's what I'm going to use the next time that happens.
Well, you're screwed then, because you're going to do all the cards. There's like, I can't remember how many are in there now, like 200 cards or something. You're going to be like...
Oh,
I'm hearing that the audio is working now. Did you change something, Garrett?
I did.
All right, cool. What was it?
I decided to make it so I can't hear the preview audio, but I haven't changed anything since last week, and I'm not sure why that would change.
No harm, no foul.
Some great software we've got here. We should give a shout out to this software company, because we've had just no problems.
You would think if you pay for the $200 software that comes with support and everything, you'd have less errors than like the OBS, the Open Broadcast software that's free. But I guess it's another one of those things where the open source community once again turns out to make a better product than it's like Microsoft versus Linux.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. You want the support because you want something
exactly.
that it doesn't work. Like, open source is great if you're building something yourself, but if you just want a tool,
right?
You just want to pay the $200.
I don't want to be a video producer. I just wanted something that works, and I'm happy to spend $200 on it. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's how I'm learning. Every time I buy a new piece of like a plugin or something like that, like you guys know Thrive themes. They put a lot of WordPress themes out in plugins. They have an awesome community. It's only like $19 a month, and you get access to the community, and then you get to use all of their themes and all of their plugins.
They're one of the ones I like, actually.
Yeah, unlimited.
Solid, right.
And then they have an education section too. So every week they come out with something. They'll do a half-hour walkthrough on how to use like one single feature of one single plugin. So as far as getting support and paying for it, I'm getting my money's worth from them. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's always worth it. Anyways, kind of rolling on here now that we got our shit figured out. I didn't have it on the schedule this week, but Steve and I are going to kind of do a half-ass study on drop shipping, and it's kind of been on the really far back burner for a long time. I don't even know if I've told Steve what I'm all up to with this. I think I mentioned it like a month ago. Do you even remember?
Yeah. I didn't get much depth of what you were thinking, though. Just like drop shipping. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll fill you in now. Garrett number 2, Garrett Lautremeau. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your French name. He has a side company where they make their own candles in Chicago. They have a company that makes the candles. They're all handmade. They're made out of soy wax, which is apparently a big thing these days, versus traditional candles, I guess, that are...
what is it, more sustainable?
I guess it's for your health. Burning traditional candles is actually kind of bad for you in your home and shit like that, and maybe some of the eco-friendly type stuff too, like you're talking about.
I'm all about the health.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so I guess they have relatively steady sales. He's looking for drop shippers and affiliates, and Steve and I have kind of been looking for a case study. I'm like, well, all right, we've never really used Shopify. We've kind of been against it for a while, but we're looking into migrating some client sites to it and stuff. And why don't we do a case study? The Idiot's Guide to Shopify, right? And how basically it's going to be a case study. How anybody, no experience, I've never used Shopify. I mean, I understand SEO, but it's going to be totally, you've never done Shopify, you don't know how to rank. Obviously, with something like Shopify, you need to rank or have you're driving paid traffic to it, which probably won't do. Way more affordable for us to use our expertise on SEO, but basically all I have right now is the site set up. I got the products on there, and you see me scrolling down. I need to write some copy or have someone write some copy for the homepage.
Hello.
Needs copy.
You know we're gonna order that from Vin. It's like zero chance you write one word of copy. Like,
Is this a
there's
case study?
literally zero chance.
Is this a case study that you were talking about like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Things move fast in case study.
Yeah, so hopefully now that my life slowed down a bit, next week we'll have a solid update. Like the site will actually be built out, and we can give an example of, I don't know, probably next week will probably be the on-page stuff, I guess. How I learned to rank product pages without running links to them directly. I mean, isn't a huge science, do interlinking from your link base and stuff, but doing some sneaky on-page tricks that Steve and I picked up over the years that I think will help, because this space isn't exactly competitive from just looking at Ahrefs. I think, you know, just like if you type in buy candles is pretty competitive, but soy candles I think will be able to outrank without many links.
We should do an episode on just on-site optimization.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be fun for me.
That's what you're going to say, just on soy candles.
I'm ranking soy candle things. I could do that too.
Yeah, I hate on-site, so because that's Garrett's thing. So I'll just make comments like, yeah, the solution to this on-site problem is build some more links. That's my solution to everything.
Put some shit in bold, put some shit in italics, fucking do some semantic work in there. That doesn't.
Really I like that stuff. Like Garrett laughs at my on-page stuff. Like I get the article back and I just start bolding and italicing and underlining everything all over that stuff still works really well. That's the thing that is frustrating.
Well, you don't see many people doing it. That's the thing. It's like it's a relatively huge on-page signal that people don't use. Like 95% of the SEO community.
Well, everyone did, but then they told us that was spammy and we should stop.
The one thing Google tells you not to do, and people actually stop doing.
You should write it down on everything everyone else stops doing.
Every page was like every other word was bold or italics at one point, and it was like almost impossible to read. That was at the tail end of the made for AdSense sites back in like 2013 or something.
I like to keep it down below about 100 bolds per page, you know, just keep it reasonable.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. I think I already have some in bold. Yeah, I haven't exactly done keyword research yet, but I have black amber soy candle. I think bold, black amber candle. Try to get some semantic against soy candle versus just a normal candle. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I don't think it's going to be too difficult to blow. Like it's like, you know, like Yankee Candle, you go to the mall, I think we can blow them out of the water relatively affordably. Like I'm talking, like if you were doing this yourself, spending way less than $500 a month to be able to outrank a national retailer. So it should be interesting as time goes by. The only problem I foresee is if I'm dedicated to doing it in a timely manner and it doesn't drag out for 2 years. So, yeah.
So it'll be interesting, man. What's the URL? Or are you keeping that private?
Oh, it's just realsoycandles.com.
Cool. I'll follow it.
This is gonna be totally open,
so once again, you know, you go for the exact match domain. You get the bold, italic, and underline in there. You get some links. Like people talk like shit's changed, and you know, obviously, like, you know, when you're doing consulting, it's a whole different game. Like you're working with real brands, you do real content. you pitch stuff to the real media. If you're building a site just to sell shit online, you don't have to go like way over here and be like, I speaking to a real big agency SEO, and their idea of a content piece is like, well, what can we like? We're going to blow something really expensive up and get coverage in the Guardian or something. It's like, you can't tell someone whose budget is $1,000 a month they need to create $50,000 in collateral damage to get some press coverage. It's like, you guys are in a different game. You know, people are giving you 50 a month. You can play. You can drop things from balloons in the stratosphere. You can, you know.
That's a whole world I don't understand.
Your soy candle dude can't do that stuff. You know what I mean? Like you just got to grind out some links and do some old-fashioned stuff. And having the keyword in the domain is still important. I mean, people overdo it. Like if you've got best -soy -can, you've got to be able to buy a domain that's sensible. If you can't buy a domain that's sensible, try a brand or try a blended kind of thing. But if your site's just going to sell soy candles, why the hell shouldn't it be called internetsoycandles.com, realsoycandles.com? You know, like there's been too much of a swing where people have taken everything Google said is they're going to do a little bit less weight to and thrown it all out the window as if it's garbage. But having bold on the page is still a signal. Like if you bold relevant text that should be in bold, I'm joking a bit about my 100 bolds a page. I mean, my real solution is not to even look at the page. Like if one of our pages is underperforming, I get some more links to it. But
works.
You know, if you have relevant text that's the most important bits of your page in bold, and that's also the most important bit to the searcher, of course it draws it out to the searcher, and obviously you can use CSS to make your bolded bits also look like a fancy pop-up box or with a background, and you can make it visually appealing. You haven't got to just be constrained by the old, you know, big block of bold text in the middle of the...
Well,
so I think people have become too obsessed with, oh, you shouldn't do this anymore, so we're never going to do it.
The whole SEO, I'm talking about like niche sites and authority sites, the landscape has changed. When Google came out and said, you know, bolding and you know, italics and all that stuff, you know, it's not going to work anymore, that's when people were building five sites a week that were only 10 pages each, and they were just abusing the EMD like bonus and abusing all, you know, the perks that they got from these on-site perks. But, you know, these days those sites will never even get traction anymore. So you're probably right, Steve. We could probably go back to some of the old on-site optimization, you know, strategies we used in those days, and I'm sure lots of it still works. I honestly haven't used the bold and italics trick in years.
Test them out on a few pages. You'll. I've seen some insanely competitive ones. I can't say the niche because it's a client, but very, very, very competitive niche. Very, very big value per sale, and yeah, the winning sites have a lot of that stuff going on still. I think as well. What was I going to say? A lot of what you were just saying, I don't necessarily give Google credit for. I think just what we've seen in terms of who our clients are and who we're working with now, they're all people building quite good sites. And, you know, and there's loads of them. There's loads of people building pretty good sites now. And I don't think even if Google hadn't done anything, those crappy 5-page sites wouldn't have worked on if they hadn't changed the algorithm at all, because there would have been all these better, bigger sites eventually anyway. People are just... The competitive landscape's changed. People are competing more aggressively. They're building better sites. And those were always going to beat those 5-page hyphenated exact match domains out anyway. So if you were just relying on bolding, crap links, 5-page site, you've just been out-competed, because the standard now is 100 pages plus of good stuff. Great links, real outreach. But you can still get an extra 1%. So take it.
I mean, these days for me, I want to be on the 1,000-page, 1,000-link level. That's really where I'm going. But you're right. There's low-hanging fruit everywhere.
Oh yeah, I wasn't saying that that's their kind of final game. The end boss is once you've got to 50 pages, but and that's kind of everyone's starting point now. They don't even put their sites live until they've written 50 pages now. I mean, you must have people who come to you launching a new site, and the first thing they do is order 100 pages before they even put the site live.
Well, that's what did you look at the site I showed you that we're going to start ordering in September? The new one.
Yes.
That we're doing? Yeah. That's what we're doing. Me and my buddy, we're launching the site. We're going to do it with 50 like commercial pages or affiliate pages, and then maybe like another 50 like informational pages. And on September 1st, we're just going to index it and see where we land. But so
when that's the kind of starting point, of course your 5-page sniper site's not going to work anymore. The minimum investment is you start your site with 50 to 100 pages. It's a whole different game now.
So some of my portfolio clients, what all they do is on January 1st they start 3 new sites, and they put 20 grand into every site. They populate the content, and then they don't touch it until the next year. They let it just marinate in the search engine, and then they start building links to it or what have you the next year. Because sometimes a site just never gets traction unless you have the patience and the elbow grease to really dig into it and figure out exactly what's going on. Sometimes it's just easier to start a new site and take your lumps.
Oh yeah, I've seen a client where they had a portfolio of 7 sites all in the exact same niche. They have 3 pages on page 1 of Google for every single search term, but it's not the same 3 sites out of their 7. Some of the sites just haven't performed as well as others, and they did the same thing. They used the same writing business, they used the same link strategy, they used the same designer. Everything was the same.
That makes you think, man, right?
There's a lot of random in there. There's timing things. People forget that Google has a lot of timing stuff. People do stupid shit like I've got $8 to spend. I'm gonna buy $8 grand's worth of links, and they got no money for a few months. And that just what kind of link graph have you got? Like these random, whereas sustained businesses that. And then the other thing that's a big telltale for Google, and I think this is something people are crazy about. They get some kind of penalty, like Google does an update, and they stop everything they were doing.
Right.
The instant they get penalized. And then Google knows everything they were doing is spam. They can look after a major update like that, look at what everyone who stopped doing what they were doing was doing, and they can weight what they were doing as spam. Like, if you want to recover from a penalty, obviously stop doing the stuff you were doing that was stupid. Like, if your whole site was just stupid, then just stop doing everything. But if you were building natural links, if you were writing good content and you got hit with a penalty because of, I don't know, like you had, to use a real example, you were using a script to build some kind of product listing page and there was too much duplicate content in your product feed, stopping your content marketing and your PR outreach because you've got caught on a penalty for that is just dumb, because it makes Google think, well, wait a minute, everything they were doing was manipulative. It wasn't just what we caught them for. And obviously there's not an individual person looking at every case of that, but they're throwing all of that into the mixer, and you're going to have a much harder time recovering if you're kind of like patient 0 for a new discovery for Google. Like, oh, this is interesting. You don't want to be patient 0 and give Google the obvious, oh yeah, everything we're doing is fake. Put us in your case study folder, you know what I mean?
I was doing a little reading on timing of signals and how it affects rankings. And a lot of people are saying that, I'm talking for a new launch, right? When you launch the site and you're indexing it from the first day, what do you do? What's your timeline? And most people say it's, press release, throw that press release out there, and then immediately follow it up with social signals, because social signals right after the press release will signify the virility of your new site. And people are using that strategy to avoid what the Google sandbox, the 30 to 90-day period where your site's just not going to do anything because Google wants to figure out if you're a legitimate site or not. So I definitely think timing and the order in which you apply your SEO is probably something a lot of people avoid or don't even think about, but could be something that's very important as far as how quickly you can see results for a new site.
Yeah, I think so as well. And when you look at, I mean, going back to our ICOs, and I know half of the audience who watch this later won't hear the initial coin offering stuff, but you look at how those initial coin offerings in the cryptocurrency world are going. They don't launch slowly and sell 50 tokens, 100 tokens. They launch and they've got millions and millions of dollars. Like they have that social proof, those citations in the cryptocurrency world immediately in the form of real money and people owning and a real big launch, like a venture funded new site in a niche, doesn't launch and do 5 links a month.
Yeah,
they launch. They do the press release. They spend on TV. They do social. They get 200 links in their first month. They're not in any Google sandbox.
Right.
So if you really want to avoid the sandbox, don't look like a new business that they shouldn't be sure about. Look like you've gone absolutely huge, because you have gone huge because you spent the money. And obviously, if you can't spend the money, you need to do a lot of work.
Yeah. For one of my sites,
or be very patient and wait the 2 years.
That's what it is. For one of my sites, I just have to be patient, just because I know that at this point I missed out on all the low hanging fruit, and now I'm just grinding it up. But I'm in neck deep right now, so I've got to go through it.
Yeah.
We're getting some questions here in the chat. Mike asks if we can talk about canonicalization SEO. You guys, how would you say that to a newbie? Canonical URLs and all that jazz.
So it depends what you're trying to do. Are you trying to game some existing?
He's talking raw. He wants to know
raw?
Canonical URLs and what that means in the SEO field.
Well, it only really applies to shops, doesn't it? Because they're the only ones that have multiple ways that things on your own site can show up in a different URL.
Is e-commerce, but remember, also we ran into that a few years ago on Tech Function. Remember, running to canonical. Let's say you got a huge guide, like a guide I wrote up for local SEO those years ago, and you can't have just one page that scrolls on for 3 hours, right? And it's all the same content, link. I'm trying to figure out the point of what I was going to say. It's been so long.
Well, you can set the possible duplicate URLs as long as you've got the I mean, it's really simple. I think Search Engine Land has a really simple guide on it. You just have to have the canonical link on the page so that when Google views it through a different URL, it knows the original source of it. And if you're syndicating your content, like if you're sending some content out somewhere and they're going to publish it identically, they should put the canonical link on there so that Google knows that you're the original source of the content. Otherwise, if you get someone more authoritative than you syndicating your content, Google will quite often de-index your page, and Inc. gets credit for your content or something. So there's a lot of arguments against, but it's usually e-commerce because obviously you can get the same product through like a particular type of warehouse light might also show up in your /warehouse lights /GU something LED. You might also have it in /factory lights /GU whatever LED. You're going to want to pick usually one of them as the canonical, so that because Google there'll be identical pages. It's an identical product. You're going to want to have maybe you just have it as /GU10 LED for commercial premises, and you have that as that's the canonical page, and then all these other shopping experience pages, they all reference that as being the true source of the information, the original page, so that when Google's then picking a page to index, it indexes that one.
Right. So the most basic explanation is the canonical tag is just a tag you put on the URL. You want Google to know that this is the primary URL.
The primary source of the information. Right. Yeah. So interesting. While we're on this though, just in terms of weird things, Matt Cutts on his own blog used rel equals next and rel equals previous on his posts, and they all had the same page rank. Back when Google used to tell you what the page rank was. So you can have some fun with rel equals next and previous if you are like Garrett's example, you doing a guide. You can make Google treat it all as one page. So links are coming to all different pages in the guide. That all those pages Google will view as having the combined authority of all those pages. Obviously, some black hats.
Yeah,
and apparently Matt Cutts on his blog who think everything the same massive pages.
And you wonder some days why Matt disappeared.
well, that's for those people that abuse paginated content, where they will have like one paragraph and then you'll have to click next to get so they get their page views up.
That's for ad page views. Yeah.
I
was meaning from an SEO perspective, you can combine the authority using where equals next and previous. But I'd imagine since someone kindly pointed out to Matt that his blog was maybe not set up the way.
Is Matt still around anymore? He stepped down.
He works for the U.S. government now.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Well, I think all SEOs were happy to see him leave.
Yeah, he was extremely competent, which.
All right, we got another question here from Sam Romaine. Do we know Sam Romaine, or is he a?
Yeah, I've talked to him a little fair bit. He's a Minnesota guy like me, so.
Cool.
Okay.
Sam wants to know what's the proper ratio between informational content and commercial content on a website after the Fred update. So if you guys know what Fred is, Fred was a Google algorithm update that happened on March 8th, and most people don't really know what it's about, but most people think that it has to do with too much commercial content on a website. So Sam wants to know what's the proper ratio.
Well, it primarily affected affiliate sites. So I guess if you're an affiliate site, you need to be, if you're running an affiliate business, you need to be more careful. If you're selling your own product, like I think it's ridiculous to say to a commercial law firm that they should have some fluffy informational content. I mean, most of their content is going to be pretty intense legal stuff that probably sells their product. But if you're an affiliate site and your whole site is top 10,
it goes a lot back to what I was angry about last week, where I'm trying to buy computer speakers, and
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
The top 10 computer speakers, and then like the top 20 search results are nothing but shitty affiliate sites that haven't even reviewed them. They've just changed the wording of like the manufacturer's description of the product and just basically rake them by price, but maybe throw in like a middle price computer speaker on top to say, yeah, I don't know, these are probably good and we need to make it look like the most expensive ones are just rip-offs or something.
Well, what's happened is that the affiliate SEO community has finally figured out the power of buying in 10 keywords. So all of this top 10 best, XYZ product, they realize that if people are searching for that, there's a good chance of them converting on your page. So what's happened is every single affiliate SEO website is riddled with, top 10 blue widgets, the best red widgets in 2017. And for a while, it converted really well. And it does still convert really well. But what people, think that the Fred update was about was that if your website is just filled with all these pages around buying in 10 keywords that have affiliate links on them, you're not going to get to the first page anymore. We're going to cut your traffic. So, your website also has to have content that is of value to the reader, that's going to, enrich, the reader's experience. So what Sam's asking is how much of that informational content you need compared to how much of that affiliate content. And, there's no right answer. I see people doing, 5 informational pages to 1 review article. Some people even go 10 informational pages to 1 article.
I like 10 to 1 if it's a new site or higher, because if you're an established site, you're only going to take don't even forget about an individual brand. Just take any big tech site that reviews laptops. They have one best laptops page, and they update it every year or every 6 months or whatever, like their best laptops 2017, best tablets. So they're only ever going to have a limited number of specific product pages that are in those categories, but they're blogging every week, constantly new content. So their ratio might be 100 to 1, and they're your industry leaders. So if you're not able to kind of start out at least 10-1 while you're trying to build your reputation, you're already like way underweight for your industry. You have to look at what your competitors are doing and what their natural profile of an authority site looks like in your niche. And if it's a 1,000-1 blog post to their 20 main category pages, you're way behind if you're going to try and do 5-1 or something. So, but if you're a lawyer and it's a law firm, no one expects a lawyer to have more than a couple of blogs a month or whatever, just to keep sharing their thoughts on some legal developments and that kind of stuff that's informational. Maybe they share some of the events they go to, some of the charities they support. Maybe they just waffle on about golf all the time, which is a terrible idea. They shouldn't do that. No one wants to receive that in their email newsletter. But that's the kind of stuff you'll see typically in their industry. So for them, the ratio might be 2-1 over time, because they don't really add any new products over time, but most lawyers will have a decent number of blog posts by the time they've been going 5 years.
Because Google is algorithmic, that people place too much emphasis on a solid ratio? As in, Google isn't smart enough to differentiate between someone that can put out 2 pieces of content that are super informative versus 100. And it's just like a set number. You have to meet that set number. Like, I disagree with a set number. I think it's relevancy to what you're doing in your case. Just think about it. Like,
and this is a good point, Garrett.
I agree.
Most SEO gurus come out and they'll write one blog post, and you'll get like hundreds of newbies or aspiring SEOs that will latch on to every last word that was in this blog post. And I think that's really where this ratio number came from, where there was a couple of blog posts that came out about Fred, and they talked about the ratio between affiliate and informational content. But the idea as an SEO in general is not to go by set standards. That's what happened with the EMD craze. Everybody thought, I must have an EMD, and that's going to give me a boost. And for a while that was true, but that's in the overarching SEO world or timeline. That's not really how you want to approach it. You want to approach it on a niche level and what's working in your niche at any given time. So, like Steve said, comparing a lawyer site to a tech affiliate site, the answer is going to be 2 different things. So what I'm really saying is that, yes, there's no ratio, but the underlying meaning is that you should always be doing your own research based on the niche and not just on what a guru tells you or some kind of statistic that you read online that you should be able to follow.
And I think you should give a shit about your niche. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you're struggling with a ratio and trying to force it, you're not going to be publishing good informational content anyway. If you actually give a shit about your niche and some new low-powered chip comes out that's going to be interesting in 2019 for laptops, and you just quickly write something, as soon as the tech spec comes out at the conference or whatever, and you're going to be just naturally adding stuff at the right ratio, because whenever there's something interesting in your niche, you're going to be writing about it. You've just got to kind of give a shit about your niche. And that's what big brands, when they hire an ad agency, when they hire an SEO agency, when they hire a PR agency, they the team that gets allocated to them gives a shit about their niche and keeping them on top of the industry pulse and making sure their content is in synergy with what's going on in the industry. And you have to do that as well if you're building a site. There's no magic shortcut. Well, I'll order 10 random pieces from Vin, something to do with my niche, and publish them, and then I can get away with my one, best laptops 2017 post. You gotta pick
you gotta be on the ball.
that are on the ball, and order those articles from Vin, and then they'll be strategically relevant.
So what me and my partner Mike on the new site that we're launching in September, what we're doing is we set up an old school RSS reader, and we just plugged in every single company's blog that we're going to be promoting on the site. So that way that when we want to have industry news, which will be very relevant for the blog section, we can just hit up the RSS reader and see what the most recent news is, and then we can come up with a quick blog post on that topic. And that'll satisfy what you were just talking about, Steve. We're within the industry, but we also have our keyword targeted content that we're ranking on Google. So we almost become a hub for the niche rather than just a bunch of disjointed articles that, you know, don't really click together, but, you know, they have low keyword competition. So that's
don't have the impact, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we do the exact same thing. We have it in Google Docs. Because they have their, like, you can scrape web pages in Google Docs, and Google doesn't mind you scraping Google if you're using Google Docs. Obviously within reason. I mean,
so what does it do? It pulls like the text version.
I'll tell you what. We'll put a version out in public of just one of our ones. It has, like, we've just put some links in, like Reddit in the niche. You put, like, you know, a couple of news sites, like you said. You'd put a few of the blogs of the manufacturers in your niche, that kind of thing. And then you just bring the spreadsheet up, and you can see the top stories and just skim through them, click them if you want to, and so it's like it's the same as an RSS reader, but it's just in a spreadsheet, and you can put whatever you want in there. It doesn't have to be an RSS feed. You can make it scrape different types of data if there isn't an RSS feed available and stuff like that. So
I know Evernote has some cool functionality to do that kind of thing too, where it just kind of saves documents. So if you can save every document from every website that you plug into it. But usually I just use I think it's called Feeder.co or something like that. It's like $2 a month, and, you know, it's my own personal feed of SEO topics or whatever it is I need information on.
Well, that sounds less hassle than our Google Docs solution anyway. We're gonna get a $2 a month subscription to Feeder.co.
Yeah, check it out. I was literally just talking about this morning. It's funny, but Feeder.co is the URL there.
But yeah, I think Vin and Garrett are right. I mean, I think the ratio is higher than you think, but it's forget about the ratio mainly, and every time something interesting happens in your niche, you should be writing about it. And if you just think about that logically, that's going to be a lot more than 5 to 1.
Right. And there's more variables that are in play too. Like, if your domain already has authority and you're already a well-known guy in the niche, you can probably get away with a lot lower ratio than a new site. So, you know, it goes back to analyze your niche, see what the niche is doing. Don't hang on every word of a guru, because one size doesn't fit all in this case.
Couple of tips if you want to go to the dark side, though. We're almost in September now, so get your 2018 top 10s up now.
I've been getting the orders today, actually.
They will outrank people who do them in January. Also, review products before they're launched. They will outrank people that review the product after it's launched, probably for the first month or so.
And don't be bashful about reaching out to the product creators and asking to do an interview or get, you know, some information that's not on their website. And get
don't bring these white hat tactics in here, Vin. I was pretty sure. But yeah, of course, if you can actually lay your hands on the product pre-launch and do a real review, not only do you get to rank better, but you actually get to be a good brand. So yeah, do Vin's idea. But if you can't, just write something anyway and publish it, because at the minute I'm seeing people killing it with that. I mean, obviously our clients can't do that kind of thing, but if you're doing it yourself and you're struggling and you want a couple of little shortcuts, that kind of stuff, I mean, like Vin was saying, he's getting orders already. Like, the people who know what they're doing are ordering 2018 now.
Yeah, I got 3 orders today for 2018 review topics.
Really? Plus, you know your niche as well. Like, I mean, you know there's going to be, like, if you're in phones, you know when the iPhone release schedule is. You know when Samsung's next model's coming out. You can find the leaks from China about what they're up to and what chips they're going to put in there and stuff. You don't have to be just complete bullshit like I'm jokingly suggesting. You can actually write a good prediction article for 2018 that becomes, as the products actually go live, you just swap in the real reviews, the real information, and it goes from gossip to real, but it's on the same page, the page that got links because you were the only person talking about it that early, and you've just got a massive head start on people that are trying to review it in January.
Right.
So you can do it. You can do it right. You can do it the right way and be a real authority with it. And if you love your niche, then you can win with that kind of stuff because you're in with all the gossip.
Or if you have the resources to hire somebody to do it for you, that works too.
Hire someone who loves your niche. Yeah. Well, there's plenty of those out there. I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't care about any of the sites we own. I don't even understand. And one of them's to do with HR, and I Garrett will tell you, I have very low opinion of the HR profession, as Bad says. I'm happy to debate. I'm happy to debate HR professionals regularly at events about the impact they have on corporate culture and the huge financial drain they have for spurious gain. But one of our sites is an HR themed site, but obviously I'm hiring people with an HR background who don't have that negative bias to do the managing of it.
Yeah,
so yeah, Ben's right. Hire someone or love your niche.
Correct.
So hopefully we answered your question there, Sam. But I'm sure we go off on some tangents there.
Yeah.
We gave the white hat, the black hat. We covered it.
It looks like last couple questions there. Moving on, I guess this week, for new viewers, every week we make a charitable donation. Usually we have a guest choose, but this week we are guest list. So this week we each donate $20, and if you can help out in any way you can, it'd be great. Recently we lost a family member, and my mother-in-law is looking for some donations to keep the farm alive and stuff, so we'll share that link, and if you can help out, that'd be great.
Got you in there, buddy.
Cool, thank you. Moving on, I guess we got some reviews. Vin, do you want to start?
Yeah, man. I illegally downloaded the Queens of the Stone Age record this week, and it is fucking awesome. So my review this week is for Queens of the Stone Age Villains, and they're one of my favorite bands, and it's great music that I listen to while I work, my 15-hour days and at the computer. It's a really, for them it's upbeat compared to some of their older stuff, so it's probably more accessible for a larger crowd, so I definitely suggest it. When it comes out on August 25th, then you pay the full price for it. And don't pirate it like I did.
Yeah, cool. It looks like they got a two album set on vinyl. And
yeah.
CDs. Oh, nice.
Well, I'll be buying that for sure. I mean, they've been one of my favorite bands for ages, and a couple of my really good friends over here. So that's going to be going into the collection.
I had no idea they'd gotten back together until Vin mentioned it today.
No, that was a surprise. I was like, wait a minute, that's going to be.
When you get to I guess 40 plus as a rock band, you never know if they're going to come out with another album or not. So I'm glad that they did.
I guess I'm just surprised. Dave Grohl is always so busy with the Foo Fighters. And
yeah. I'm sick of Dave Grohl. I don't need to see his face anymore, man.
Right. Yeah. He's been out there quite a bit the last few years, but
that's my review. Queens of Stone Age, awesome band.
All right, Steve, what do you got this week?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about, it's kind of a partly a review, partly a tip for people who are struggling with getting data for their outreach. So what a lot of people resort to is trying to scrape Google. So they're trying to find 1,000 outreach targets. So they'll go on Google and they'll get the, Moz has a plugin that lets you download the 100 results at a time, but then you start getting the captcha all the time, and Google blocking you when you're trying to just use your Google search normally when you're finished because you've done so many weird queries. So then people start buying proxies and scrapebox, and they're just constantly going down a rabbit hole of doing something Google doesn't want them to do. And we from us before we use Link Prospector a lot, Garrett French's tool. And that obviously they're scraping Google as well. It's a whole industry of doing something to Google they don't want to do. So what I was looking at was, at the end of the day, you just want, there's how many sites on the internet, billions and billions.
Yep.
You don't need Google's index to get your 3,000 guest post targets. So I was looking for free search tools where they had an API that was either free or cheap that people could use, and it turns out there's quite a few. The one I'm looking at the minute is faroo.com, FAROO.com. I think I've said that right, but Garrett will tell me if I've given you the wrong one. I'll look it up.
Looks like
Yeah, and they've got like 2 billion sites in the index, so you've just got to write some simple Python code or go on one of the coder communities and spend, $200 getting someone to make a search tool that uses the API for you. You can go as deep as you want in their search results, so it only lets you have 10 per second results, but you can just let your tool run for a day.
Yeah.
Go down 500 deep, 1 second at a time, and then you give it 50 different keywords you're trying to find prospects in, and it's going to return you results without you breaking anyone's rules, without you having to pay crap loads of money to scrapers, all the proxies you need to run Scrapebox successfully. And it's something, we're going to be testing it with our outreach, not to save money or anything, just because it's going to be another diverse source of data, because occasionally a different search engine as well will give you sites that Google isn't returning for a keyword and stuff like that. So I think a lot of this API stuff where you can actually get the results you want, people are prepared to offer it for a reasonable price, you're not scraping. And I think it's a shame the big search engines aren't more generous with APIs, because I think people would happily pay Google for an API to find sites and niches and that kind of stuff. And it's a shame that you're instead, for no apparent reason, paying some other company to scrape Google on your behalf and give you their data, which I guess is where, I don't know where some of these people get their data from, but I would guess 90% of their data comes from scraping Google. I don't know for sure, but you pay these other companies to get search data when you would happily pay the search provider directly to get data on what's in their index.
Mm-hmm.
And they could easily cap your usage at a level where no other search engine is going to be able to steal their proprietary knowledge about ranking to. And let's be honest, and didn't Bing get caught? Wasn't there a whole thing where Bing was like analyzing Google's results anyway and stuff? I mean, we know they analyze each other's results anyway. Like, you're not stopping your real competitors.
Right.
You're just forcing people to scrape. So
yeah.
I just think people should really look into some of these APIs and scraping as a source of really good search data and sites that they want to outreach to. And it just saves you clicking and manually downloading spreadsheets and then getting blocked on Google, or paying someone a load of money to scrape Google on your behalf. You can just do it for free. These guys will give you the top 10 blogs about X, the next 10, the next 10, the next 10. Get on with your outreach, no cost, little bit of code. I think that's
pretty neat.
It's a good move for most small people.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. And my biggest time sink is doing data scraping when I'm trying to do an outreach campaign or anything, even keyword research.
Yeah.
So if I can cut down on that time, that's killer.
So I finally convinced you to write some code.
No, I'll just hire you, Steve.
You can't afford me to write code.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way I'm selling any code I've written to anyone. I'd be like, you could get like a 20-year veteran developer for cheaper than you'd have to pay me to write code. So. Too busy.
I just get memories of my Visual Basic class in high school.
Oh, VB6.
Oh no!
Yeah.
We all have horrific memories of that, man. That's just a mess. That is.
I liked Visual Basic 6. You could
Can we cut
text box? You could right click it, and then it opens up where you want to write your code, and then it's all handled for you. You don't have to.
I think.
I think Visual Basic at its time, like Garrett's right, like at its time, especially when I was first encountering it, when it was like you had Windows 3.1 or something or whatever when I was at school, like the idea of it was the first thing where everything was handled for you. There was a proper application API for doing things that you want to box here. I'd been coding in DOS before that point when I was a young teenager, and you wanted a box, you had to draw it yourself, you had to write that in assembly, because you sure as hell better not write it in C, because it won't draw on the screen quickly enough. If you're, so you had to write, you had to build your own, and Visual Basic gave you a complete way of doing stuff without. So, but obviously things have moved on since then, Garrett. It's time to let go.
I think we made a Pong video game, where you put the dot on the screen and bounce it off the paddles. And then
we made some Space Invaders thing, but with ballistically curving missiles or something weird we had to do.
Right. And then all of a sudden we got into databases and hacking databases and coding databases, and that was just so tedious, man. And that was the end.
I'm so grateful for that though, because we learned in Access And although Access itself is an interesting tool,
interesting. That's what
we learned. You know, we were taught like how to normalize a database properly, and now I can, you know, I can get to third normal form without any real thinking. Like get a fairly complex database like our system in third normal form at first attempt without, and that's you set up then to use Postgres and all that, no problems. Like, obviously, I don't understand what fifth normal form is. I got a massive headache trying to read about why I should do that.
You're over my head already, buddy. So.
Yeah, I decided that was a bad idea, but I was grateful for my Access lessons just because I learned about how to normalize a database. So I didn't have to learn anything to use Django. I could just write the tables straight in and get going. So,
cool.
Stay in school, kids. That's the lesson.
Yeah, right here, you will see some of the best Visual Basic 6 programs written 15 years ago from high school. I still have it.
What, is that a hard drive?
Yeah, it's like one of the first high-capacity external drives. I think I got it for Christmas one year from my grandparents. It's a 80 gig drive that probably cost $300.
Nice.
There you go. So if you want to get in on the charity thing and you want to actually see some of those original Visual Basic programs, I think $17,000.
I don't even can.
We will ship it out to you.
I'll have to see with my MSDN subscription if I can even get a copy of Visual Studio 6. Do you think they even offer that?
That's what it was, Visual Studio, and it came with all the CDs, and you had to like install each CD one at a time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's such a joke.
I tell you what, you've probably got a better chance of getting your shit to run in like Wine on a Linux machine than you have of getting it to run on an actual Windows machine anymore.
No, you're
but
right.
You know, if you've got the 17,000 charity donation, you can also afford to buy yourself a retro computer to run Garrett's shit on.
Yeah.
So just ship the 17,000. He will donate it all to charity, and he will post you that drive out.
You just got to find one of those AOL CDs so you can get online too with that.
Yeah, the AOL CD is not included. I don't think any of us have one of those to post out to charity.
Do you think those AOL CDs are worth money? Those are kind of like a, I don't want to say like a Beanie Baby, obviously, but it's kind of like a timestamp of history getting your monthly AOL CD.
I guarantee
and they changed every month too. Like the different little graphics they had on them.
There's some guy who's missing a month, and if you have his month, he will give you $10,000. I guarantee you. There's a guy out there who will pay you $10,000 if you have the right month AOL CD.
Probably.
Because he has like every CD since AOL started, and he's missing one.
One of those OCD collectors that needs every single. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And if he doesn't get that CD, he's going to burn the whole collection next year. So.
Yeah. So this week, I'm doing music related as well. I didn't have many ideas. I've been using Spotify for about over 5 years now, I think. Let me check. Every year I make a playlist for the year of the music I've been listening to, and I like to go back and see what I was listening to like 5 years ago, for example. So it looks like 2012-ish, probably a little before then. I think you've been using it longer, Steve, because if I remember correctly, it wasn't available in America at first.
It was in the UK
that was just on Spotify, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, and you know, a lot of my friends, they choose to use Pandora, and their argument is that it's free. Spotify is free as well, and unlike Pandora, you can actually select a song you want to listen to. You can't just put on the station, unless Pandora's changed that recently. Do you guys know?
I haven't used Pandora since we discussed it years ago. Like when it just first came to the UK, and we didn't have it over here. Like you say, we.
Yeah, it's the same here. Pandora is what I used in like college, and then all of a sudden Spotify showed up, and that was it.
Yeah, I love it. You know, back in the day, I used to not pay for it. You know, they have a free version, obviously, where you get advertisements, and when I was working, I would hear the O'Reilly's commercial, the same O'Reilly's Auto Parts commercial for about 30 seconds, 10 times an hour, and I finally snapped and started paying the $11 a month, and it's well worth it. You get an infinite amount of radio stations you want to listen to, or not radio stations, but you know, build your own station, whatever, select any song, album, just about everybody's on there. I don't know too many bands these days that choose not to be. I think
Not many.
Metallica might be one of the big ones because they tend to be dicks about their songs being worth titanium amounts of money. But
The band Tool's not on there. I don't know if you're a Tool fan, but you can't get anything.
I thought they used to be on there.
No, you can't find Tool. You can find The Perfect Circle, which is his other band, but you can't find Tool.
Even
And,
Radiohead gave up on their anti-Spotify mission.
Yeah.
They were on they were on a crusade. They're like, we'll give our album away for free on the internet, but heaven forbid someone makes some money from it and doesn't pay us enough. It's like, but you think on Spotify, you stop paying, you don't have the album anymore. Like, what they're forgetting is that they're not, we don't get enough per play, but you get that money for 40 years. Like, I'll still be listening to Radiohead on Spotify unless something else comes along and they go. So they got that. They're not like amortizing the money that they're getting from streaming. They're just like, oh, but if I sold an album, I would have got £1.50.
Right.
I'm only getting 0.4 cents a play. It's going to take me a lot of plays to get to my £1.50. But they forget that it's.
They forget that I was never going to buy their album in the first place. So you can take your penny and I'll listen to your song a million times, or you can have nothing and Kazaa will come back and I will pirate it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm grateful to Spotify for keeping me from getting that letter in the mail saying you're being sued for $250,000 from Sony Universal for pirating music, because back in the day.
I think that's the thing though. When you're a kid, you think, oh, I'm never going to pay for anything. I'm just going to, like your buddy gives you. When I was at school, it was like, your buddy gave you a stack of floppy disks this big, and you swap games and stuff. And you think, oh, I'm never going to pay for anything. Why would I pay for these games? I buy one, I swap, I get 9. Once you get a job, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm on like Steam, I want this game, whatever.
Yo, Steam sucks, man. I can't find anything on Steam that I actually want to play, but. Anyway.
Try Galciv 3.
It's like no-name games, right? But like third party.
No.
You can get good games on it these days.
All the big studios are on Steam. Galactic Civilizations 3 is fantastic. I mean, and they support their games for like 10 years after they release them. Stardock. So, Galciv 3, you will waste at least 275 hours, is my prediction if you get into Galciv 3. Your whole business will be gone.
That's why I won't play video games anymore. I didn't play video games from like the age of 12 to like 29. And then Aaron bought me Xbox. And then for a year there, I was like getting into Skyrim and all of those like open map games. Yeah. And I lost days upon days playing that shit. So now I'm kind of weaning myself off. But Spotify's great, man. I love Spotify.
It was poker that ruined me. Like, as soon as I realized that you play a game and you make money, I was like, this game. I was like, I don't want to play Galciv. This doesn't pay me any money. I want to play. I want to have money at the end of my game playing session.
I was getting into online poker right before they banned it. So I was getting into like multi-tabling. That's the super turbo sit and goes or whatever. Yeah. And then, like, I was like, oh, I can do this. I see the loophole. I see how I can make money. And then they banned it, 2 months into it.
Yeah.
I used to play, I had a finish round, and I was playing, like, 4 tables at once all the time of these 45-man sit-and-goes. And he's like, oh, no, man, you're not doing it right. Sammy, yeah. Hey, Sammy. And he goes, no, what you do is you play them in a stack, and you play 40 tables. Yeah. And so he was coaching me, and he had me stacking 40 tables of these. And he's like, yeah, and you don't have to play the $16. He's like, play the 6s and the 3s. And I was making like $38 an hour.
That's awesome.
Just clicking. And I was like, this is fantastic. $38 an hour while I'm playing a game. And I'm not even paying fucking attention. I'm just clicking away like that.
I would play the 6-seaters, turbo sit and goes.
Oh, those are fun.
I would just slam it in on every hand, and
I'm not sure that's the right play.
And I came out profitable, man, and that was like.
Well, those were the days before the ban. Since the ban, things have got shit. Like, because without you guys going all in every hand, it's terrible.
It's awful. It's pretty much it's folding. It's nothing but everyone folds until like no one has any, like, you get into the blinds with antes, and no one, you'll start with 1,500, everyone will be down to like 300 chips, and it's just like a shit show.
Is that today? Is that right now?
Yeah, it's just, the only people left are like, even, the big thing when we were playing like 7 years ago was Eastern Europeans. They were the nits, the Ruskies, the Russians were nits. Yeah. All that's left, they're like no fish. Maybe 1 out of 10 games. If you're playing sit and goes, you might get 1 fish. So if you're playing 6 mans, 60 players, so minus you, that's 50 players that you're playing against. You might be lucky to get 1 or 2 fish, and it's just awful.
Yeah, even if you're playing like $25 buy-in cash games now, it's solid players, 3-betting, re-raising, bluffing flops.
You used to be able to just be an average player and play 100 NL and have a winning win rate. Now, if you're playing 100 NL, you're pretty much playing pros because they're all just grinding out. They're just grinding nothing. It's just
people who people like what was his name? Hello Puppy, the 300,000 winner before the poker ban. After the ban, moved to Canada, quit poker the next year. Couldn't win. He couldn't even win. He dropped down 2 stakes. He was playing 2-4, so $400 buy-in. He dropped down to $25.50, so $50 buy-in and $51, $100 buy-in. Couldn't even win at that level and just quit. Yeah. And he won $300,000 the year before the ban.
Yeah, everyone's just grinding right back. You get and the rate back's not even good anymore. It's like 20% if you're lucky. What were we getting?
Well, on PokerStars you get on PokerStars now you get instead of reward points you get like a chest, and the chest is that you open the chest and it's like you got a free roll entry to a 50,000 player free roll with a $50 first prize. So you got to waste like 9 hours of your time to maybe win $7 if you win it.
I think there's some.
And they're like, oh no, we're giving away loads of value to our players. It's like, what the fuck?
Aren't there a bunch of rooms out of Costa Rica still that are good, but then you can't get like paid out? Like you can buy in, you'll never.
If you want to play, there's rooms in China, but
that's what I hear.
You have to put your money in through a broker. So when you put your money in, the broker takes 20% of your money,
and then takes 20% on the way out too.
And 20% on the way out, but it's pure fish. So if you are a pro, you put your $10,000 on, you run your 8 up to 100, and then you get 80 back. It's still a decent 6 months or whatever, but it you can't get your money on. I mean, if you're a so I'm told, as the guy was racially advising me that I was the kind of player that had to pay a fee. If you were a Chinese American, for example, and you wanted to play, then and you passed the Skype video call test as being something that you'd like to let on the site, then you may be able to play. But well, for a white boy like me, I was told that I would be paying the full 20% to access the game.
In theory, what they're doing, however, if you want to look at it by ethical standards, is a good thing. It keeps the fish in the pool, and they keep redepositing, and you keep taking their money, and it keeps the good players happy, it keeps the fish happy, and the ecosystem goes on.
Oh, it's good for their site. It's just not good for me. I was like, I'm not giving you 20%. I'm not giving you $2,000, you son of a bitch.
Did you guys see that movie Runner with Ben Affleck, where he was he's like one of these online poker room owners, and it gets outed as a Ponzi scheme. The whole movie is about him trying to like continue his scam, but like this one guy keeps on calling him out, and then it gets into dramatic ridiculousness. But it's always cool to see.
I feel like we need to do a toast to Jason Ho, the Asian baller.
All right, Jason. I know who you are.
Google Jason Ho. It's a good story.
Yeah.
Good story.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we have to do don't tweet this. Done our new feature.
That's right. I forgot about last week. Yeah.
I was prepared with mine. I gave my don't tweet this tech tip, and then you guys talked about music. I was like, what? This isn't a don't tweet this tip for outreach.
Okay,
we have to be better at like planning this stuff out before we press the play button on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, go on, guys. Off the cuff, Black Hat tip for the week.
Oh God. Tiered link building still works.
It actually does. That's
GSA submitter still works.
Not with that. Not with that.
Not with that? No, on tier 5, and you plug
tier 5, yeah.
hundreds of thousands of links, and you're just getting that little ounce of link juice from each one of them and sending them off the funnel.
Oh, all right, maybe all the way down at tier 5.
Yeah. That's as good as you're gonna get as off the cuff black hat tips.
What have I read lately that would be good? Fuck.
Come on, guys.
I'm not good at peer pressure or high pressure situations. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I want to say, but they're not appropriate. SEO tip. We already discussed bolding and italics. What is something sketchy that we may or may not have done in the past?
Site merging? You ever do site merging?
We've never really dabbled in it.
But the problem we've got is we've always been white hats, so it's like we watch the black hat from afar. We've had one black hat site, but that was on purpose just to see how long it would take to get a penalty.
Yeah. You know what, man? It's
18 months of $1,000 a month before it got penalized after spending $300 on it. So quite a while.
I just got to pass. I'll buy you guys a beer in Vegas. I'll be more prepared for next week. That's my punishment.
You're going to be buying me many beers in Vegas, Garrett. I want you to know that right now.
We do actually owe
Keep it tally.
We do actually owe Vin quite a few beers by now, actually. So.
Okay, well, that's fine. Put it on my room charge. Go down to the Trump bar.
Yeah. Just go down to we'll just go down to the Trump bar. We'll put it all on Garrett's room. It'll be fine. What did you guys get up to? Did you get that work done? Oh yeah. We were working pretty hard.
I'm gonna go up and look on the TV and look at my current bill, and it's like, $821. Nice.
We gotta leave the empties outside his room door so we can account for everything he's paying for.
Yeah. Just call the bellboy over and say, you take these up to room.
All right. I
think that wraps up our show. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. We'll have to maybe I'll find where it started working again, and we can just re-record, and I'll cut them in the best we can or something like that.
Cool, guys.
All right, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back next Thursday on the 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is SEO Unmasked. See you next week.
Adios.